Hi everybody, this is Pastor Susan and welcome to a new week of devotions as we are continuing our sermon series called to make a difference, called to change the world. And this week we're talking about the importance of community in that process. You know, my word for this year for myself is pilgrimage, and part of the reason is because I've been doing a lot of traveling. I just got back from the UK a month ago. We were in the Holy Land. I've just been kind of a globetrotter this time, but I have never traveled alone. I've never traveled alone. I've usually had Ron with me. If Ron's not with me, I've traveled with a group of people or with a dear friend. And there is something about sharing each other's burdens that is good for the soul. It is good for our lives with God. In Colossians chapter 2, verses 6 through 7, we receive this word. As you receive Jesus Christ the Lord, so walk in Him. So walk in Him. And that idea of journey or pilgrimage, or it tells us that we need to be active. We need to be with Christ as we are making our journey, but we were never intended to make that journey alone. And I have to say, I'm doing this recording the week before Sunday, where our wonderful youth and children are leading us in worship. So that happened yesterday, if you're watching this on Monday. And wasn't it wonderful to see them being leaders and sharing their gifts and their talents with us? We need each other. There is something about being together that helps us to grow in our faith and to fulfill our walk, our journey with Christ. One of the keys that I think we need to think about is, answer the question, why do we need others to be on this journey with us? I am one of these people who I like to go and walk by myself. This morning, early, I woke up and got up at 5 o'clock, and so I had a little bit of extra time, and so I decided rather than turning on YouTube and listening to the birds and looking at birds as a mindful practice, I heard birds starting to wake up and starting to do bird song, and so I went outside and I took a walk for about an hour, and it was a wonderful time. It's okay from time to time to take that walk by yourself. Jesus many, many times went into the wilderness to pray, be alone with God. But he also, if you remember the story, he also surrounded himself with friends, with fellow journeyers in faith. And we are called to do that as well. Let me just kind of broach with you some reasons. Actually, it's something that Rick Warren once said. There's three primary reasons why we need to be in community together. And the first is that it's safe. It's safer to do that. It can be a little scary if you're all by yourself and you're walking, especially in the dark, through dark times, through difficult times in our lives. It's safer for us to be on a journey with others. I remember a story that goes back several years now. We had a group of people. Suzanne Castle was leading a group of people, about 10 or 11 of us, to Italy. And one of the things that she said was, never ever go by yourself. When you're in a foreign country especially, never go by yourself because something can happen. You need to have somebody there that is with you. And so Ron, sure enough, had some problems with his back, and so he bagged out of going on, a very strenuous tour that day, opting to stay at the hotel where we were staying. And so he got to feel a little bit better before we got home and decided to just walk down the block for a couple of blocks. And so he was taking pictures and he was doing that panoramic view, taking a picture, did not realize that in that view, he wasn't paying attention. There was an embassy. and he got in trouble. And he was by himself, and he didn't speak Italian, and it was hard. So it's safer. It's safer to make the journey with others. There is some security in numbers. The second thing is that as we're walking through life and we're making our pilgrimage with God, it's also supportive. There is an old Zambian proverb that says, when you run alone, you run fast. But when you run together, you run far. When you run alone, you run fast, but when you run together, you run far. And the only way we're going to finish the race and not burn out is by having other people that are involved in our lives through meaningful relationships. So it's safer, it's supportive, more supportive, and finally it's smarter. It's smarter. You learn more by walking with others than you do by yourself. Proverbs 28:26 says, whoever trusts in his or her own mind is a fool. In other words, if you think you got all the knowledge in the world, you are being foolish, because there are more things to learn. And especially when we're assured, we've got that, what's called sometimes the sin of certitude. We think we've got the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Sometimes we need to learn from others. And I hope in my own life that I have a heart that's open to learning new things. New things about my faith, maybe challenging things to the way I have always thought about something that has to do with my relationship with God. How about you? Other people in our lives do help us as we continue this journey, this pilgrimage, this journey of faith with God, to know more and more and to be more like Christ in our lives and in our actions and in our thoughts. We never end this journey until we go to be with God after this life. So let's do it together. Let's do it together. And know that as we do, God will lead us into safe and supportive and smarter ways to live into that life to which you and I are called. May it be so today and every day. Amen and amen.